Welcome to a Pneuma conversation, a place where the unseen becomes seen, a space where the silenced become heard, and where the rejected are accepted. Together we breathe. Together we remember that we are all remembered, we are all loved, and we all belong. These are the conversations that remind us what it means to be alive. Today we're in conversation with Justin Peretti. Justin, welcome to the podcast.
Hey,
Welcome to the
Chad.
conversation. I'm sorry. Still
Hey.
works.
Yeah. Hey, Chad, how's it going?
It's going great.
Yeah.
I've been watching you for some time, and there is a definite shift that is happening in your life, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But I've subtitled this conversation "From Lights Within the Sky to Lights Within." A
Just,
breathline conversation with Justin. And I think that is so appropriate because there is definitely a shift that is happening in your life. And we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about that. And I think it's very important. It's the work I do. It's what I talk about. So there is no accidents here, you know.
right.
So Justin, as we get started, what has shaped you into the life that you are living now?
All right. Well, I'll start off, I guess I've always been very like stuck in the material way of living up until just recently, the last couple of years. I was in the Air Force for 6 years. Um my job was actually munitions, so I was a part
Okay.
of building and transporting explosives. And halfway through my enlistment, I realized I wanted nothing to do with that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. I would much rather go to a place of love than
Mm,
a place of violence. And at the time, I didn't know. I was just a child when I joined. I was 19. I
sure.
didn't really know what I was getting myself into. But so going through that, and yeah, I just never had like a real connection with God. Growing up, my parents were Catholic, so we went to Catholic mass, and I just remember going to church as a kid and it never really making sense to me and not like understanding why you have to do these certain things to have a relationship with God. I thought as a kid, like, isn't God supposed to love you no matter what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So instead of, I guess I didn't really have other avenues to explore that. So instead of believing in God, I just decided to push it all aside and basically chose not to believe in God.
Okay.
And I was in that way of living my life up until just a couple years ago. I went through some very hard times. So after I got separated from the Air Force, my son was born just a couple months before I was separated, and
Mm,
he was actually born. And the day after he was born, we found out he had a heart murmur. So he had a hole
mm,
in his heart, and we had no idea until he was born. And at that point, we found out that we were going to have to schedule heart surgery for him. And and it ended up being scheduled just days after I was separated from the military. So went through some really hard times there, just transitioning out of the military as hard as it is. And then I was dealing with my 4-month-old son going through open heart surgery, which luckily he did amazing. And we were out of the hospital within 3 days. And he's 10 now and he's on like every 5-year checkups and he's doing
wow.
great. Um, but then a couple of years later, we thought everything was going smooth, but we realized like he was kind of delayed and he wasn't speaking. So
Mm,
going to the hospitals, we actually found out that he had autism. So at 2 years old, he was diagnosed with autism. And that was a really stressful time too. We had to go through genetic testing to try to figure out like what caused this and everything. And you don't get those results for 6 to 8 months when you're going through that testing. So my wife and I are just like trying to figure out like, did we pass this to him? And it was just really stressful. But the results came back. It was neither one of us. So we're not sure if it was
mm,
environmental or what caused it. But um, going through all that really pushed me to like my limits, and I got
Okay.
to like a point where I just really felt lost. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to make it through life every day. Um, yeah, so now he's doing great. He's in fourth grade, and he started talking about when he was 5. And honestly, he's like such the biggest blessing and like, the brightest light that shines, and everyone who's around him just loves him so much. And I guess what it made me realize is I had to go through those challenging times to have these amazing times I'm having right now. But I guess 2 years, or I guess 3 years ago now, technically, August 2023 is when I started my awakening experience. So I had TikTok and I was watching the alien stuff was all being posted on
Yes.
TikTok, and
Yeah.
the first congressional hearing in a very long time was going to take place. And as a joke, I told my wife I'm going to go outside and look for the aliens out there. And
Yeah,
joke's
yeah.
on me because I went outside and I saw orbs in the sky. And I was like,
So,
what the heck are these things? Like, I've never seen anything in the sky like this before.
yeah.
And that set the spark off on like inside of me that like I needed to know what was going on. So I started going outside every single night trying to
Mm,
figure out what it was. And in May of 2024, I got confirmation that these weren't satellites, and I saw
okay.
this triangle formation of orbs or maybe a singular craft. I'm still not sure, but it was
Hmm.
three in a triangle, and then there was another orb off to the side locked in with
Yep.
it, and it
Yep.
flew across the sky.
Well, you've taken us right up to where I wanted to take you
All
anyway.
right,
So
perfect.
you
Yeah.
created Lights Over Loveland,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
That's what you're known on TikTok,
Yeah.
and this all began in 2023.
Uh, so I started seeing the orbs in 2023, and then I
Okay,
created Lights Over Loveland in March 2024.
got it. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, yeah, I was documenting these lights in the sky, and I was just going to
sure.
work and like showing my coworkers, and he's like, "Are you gonna do anything with these? Like, they're interesting. You need to share them with the world." So, he kind of forced me into creating Lights Over Loveland and starting to post all that stuff. And yeah, I'm the kind of person who like I'm very curious, and when
Yeah,
I get interested in something, I will dive in deep and do everything I can to try to figure it out. So I was going out documenting all the time, every single night, and then I saw that
sure.
triangle formation, and that really cemented in the belief that, okay, this is not something man-made. I
Hmm.
don't know what this is. And at that, when I first started seeing the orbs, I was at a place of, okay, is this like aliens from outer space? Maybe like nuts and bolts craft? I wasn't sure. And through learning about the orbs, I found Chris Bledsoe in his book UFO God. And that really brought me to the spiritual side. And once I
Okay.
found the spiritual side, it really resonated with me. And whenever I go outside to skywatch, I am just sending out like intentions of love and trying to connect with my higher self, guides, whatever may be out there. And just hearing Chris talk about for him as well as it comes from a place of love just really resonated with me. And ever since
Hmm.
that, I've been on like the spiritual side of the phenomenon. And yeah, I think it all stems from a place of love, in my opinion.
Yeah, there is definitely a spiritual connection.
Hmm.
I've had conversations with Johnny UFO
Hmm.
multiple times. He sees it. There are other people part of the Skywatcher community that are beginning to wake up to this. Wake up's
Yep.
probably the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
Um, you know that I've shared with you off camera my personal experiences I've had. Um, and I'm having a lot of as you know, also know I'm having a lot of experiences that people can only have when they are using equipment.
Yep.
You are also having the similar experiences I'm having where you are also not using equipment, and there's got to be something else going on if we're seeing this with our naked eyes.
Yep.
and not relying on equipment.
100%.
Not to say there's anything wrong with equipment, because there's a, that can really amplify what's happening, but we're talking about something else if we're seeing it with our eyes.
Yes.
And I think
I,
that's
yeah.
important. So as we're getting there, you also saw, as have I. I mean, we'll back up just a second.
Mhm.
I've also seen the triangle with the orb next to it. I think you've heard a lot of people say they've seen that. This isn't
Yep.
uncommon. You and I also have another sighting experience that is similar, which is the black triangle, or
Yes.
or the black ship, or whatever what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that if you can.
Yeah. So when I saw that one, I actually didn't even see that one with my eyes.
Okay.
So that one
Okay.
I found after I went back and was reviewing my footage, which there's a
Yeah.
ton of things that I didn't see with the naked eye that when I go back and look through my videos, I'm like, holy cow, like how did I not see this or know that that happened? But I was actually like following a different orb that was flying over the roof of my
Okay.
house. And yeah, you just see this like cloaked triangle go really fast, like by the screen. And yeah, it's just, I don't know what that would be besides something not from
Right.
here, not man-made. Like, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing happened with Johnny UFO. I was looking at one of his videos, and
Mm,
when you really zoomed in, you saw a craft that was very
mm,
similar to what you see in Star Trek.
yeah.
And he went back and then he saw it too, because he
Mhm.
hadn't seen it until I pointed it out. So I'm not poo-pooing equipment. Please, don't
Yeah,
hear
it's
that.
definitely a helpful tool.
It's exactly,
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely. So
Mhm.
um so Justin, what what changed in you that made you stop looking up
Mhm.
and you started what I'm going to call listening in?
Gotcha.
You weren't inward. You're going inward.
Yes. Yes. I really went inward. So actually around the same time I started seeing the orbs and learning about Chris Bledsoe, I found the Monroe Institute and started learning about them. And I found the gateway tapes online actually, so I was able to download them and I just
Okay.
started practicing meditation, which was something I hadn't ever really done in my life up until that point. And the nice thing about like the gateway tapes is it's like a training manual. It's
Okay.
very like step by step, start here, and it helps you get a lot of tools to be able to connect to that inner being that's within you. Um, and once I started doing that, I just felt so much better. I felt so much more at peace and I just felt so much more whole
Mm,
as a person. And I realized that this was something that I was missing in my life. Like I was missing that spiritual connection. And
mm,
ever since I was a little kid, I had pushed it aside and realized like my life is so much more fulfilled when I am in touch with that like spiritual aspect of
yes.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so I've been documenting the phenomenon since August 2023. And last year, it kind of manifested itself. I have some friends that live nearby in Nunn, Colorado, and they own a ranch with 88
Oh,
acres.
nice.
And they're like, "Do you want to come out here and do an event for a Skywatch?" So I was like, "Heck yeah, I'm down." So they picked the date, time. All I had to do was promote it and show up. So it
Yes.
was basically the universe being like, "Hey, you're gonna go do this thing."
Absolutely.
Yeah. So once I agreed to do that, the first event we went out there and it was pouring rain. It was storming really bad, like I don't 40-mile-per-hour winds. It blew over my tripod with my camera and like so we had maybe about 12 people who showed up And because of the weather, what it did was it forced us all to come together. So we started sharing stories and connecting. And the way that the host was promoting the event was as just like come stargaze. So people
Mm,
showed up and they're like, "Oh, we're going to be looking at like the planets through telescopes and stuff." And we're like,
okay.
so not quite." So
No, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I was able to like share about Chris Bledsoe. I shared
Mm,
with them that I've gained this connection and it all comes from a place of love and sending out love into the universe and really just being blessed with this phenomenon. And so the weather did not clear up until about 10 p.m. The event started at 6. So at that point, I feel like the people who were meant to be there and go through this awakening were there with us. And once the skies cleared up, like it was game on. Like we
yeah.
started seeing orbs everywhere, and I was able to help give these people the experience of seeing the phenomenon for the first time and through that lens of love and understanding and not presenting it in a way of fear or like, fearing the unknown because
Hmm.
it can be very overwhelming at times when you're out there,
Yeah.
especially when there's 40 different things flying in the sky above you at the same time. It's like I've had a couple times where I'm like, oh man, like this is a lot. But I've never had anything bad happen, and I've
Yes.
always just been filled with such a sense of love and like I don't know. I've always felt connected to the stars, and I've always loved looking at space as a kid, and it
Hmm.
was that confirmation that there is something higher up there that does care about you and wants to connect.
Yeah. Would you say there are times when you go out that this is personal and you it doesn't feel right to video it?
There are times, and I feel like the phenomenon, if it wants to be filmed, it's going to present itself. Because there'll be times
Sure.
where I go outside for an hour and I'm trying to film and just nothing's showing up. And
Hmm.
one of the biggest things for people who do want to see the phenomenon is a lot of people get like impatient. They're just like, I just want to see it
Yes.
so bad.
Yes.
And you just have to get to like a state of awareness or being where you're just grateful to be outside. And I take it as I'm just happy to be out looking at the beautiful stars. Like
Right?
the orbs and the phenomenon is a bonus to me. So
It's
it's just
beautiful.
about finding that inner peace, really.
Well, you're already started asking another question. I wanted,
Mm.
and this has turned into an interview, and I'm sorry, but there are
Oh, no,
specific
you're good.
questions that I think that are appropriate for what's happening in your life and what's happening in humanity right now, and what, especially with the again with the message that I'm sharing. But how does life feel different
Mhm.
now that you've stopped chasing the light and you're becoming it?
Yeah, so my life has shifted dramatically, especially in the last like 7 or so months. So
Mhm.
I was at my previous job for 8 years. I was miserable. I was really wanting something different in my life, and I was fortunate enough to be able to leave my job, and now I'm a full-time student. And since I've been able to let go of all that stress, life has just kind of been like working for me
Right?
and it's been flowing. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, my manifestations have been like in overdrive. So every day I'll just say like I'm happy, healthy, wealthy, money
Mm,
loves me, money's attracted to me, money comes to me easily, abundance flows through my life. And my bank account has the most amount of money it's had since ever. And I
yeah,
like when I was working full time, it was just stuck at this level. Like it would
sure.
never grow. And since I quit my job, it's just like whoop. It's like so
Yeah.
that resistance, it's just when you want something so bad, you create kind of like a resistance and you kind of put distance between yourself and that thing. And
Hmm.
when I was able to quit my job, I was finally able to just let go of all those things and just trust that I'm on the right path. And yeah, so I guess I'll kind of go into like I was documenting all these orbs for the
Okay.
last couple years. And I created a video called The Phenomenon on YouTube. It's like 30 minutes of some of my best footage. And I realized that this should be enough to convince like the biggest skeptic that
Sure.
something at least unexplainable is going on. But I still just was getting comments like, no, this is Starlink, these are satellites. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, how can I help people see differently? And that's
Mm.
kind of how I've evolved my channel recently is now I'm looking into different ways to present this information. So I'm trying to show people through like a Christian lens, like, okay, this is how you can view the phenomenon. Like people have been seeing and documenting angels for thousands of
Mm.
years, and they were described as these glowing balls of light, and they show up when you pray
Yep.
to God, which is basically what I'm doing. I'm going outside and praying.
Hmm.
Um, or like I took an intro to archaeology class last year, which was really fascinating because I got to learn about ancient cultures and I learned about ancient shamans 35,000 years ago being very highly respected members of the community. And it was completely normal for them to connect with the spirit and go out and talk to their guides. And
Yes.
it's really just brought me to this like knowing now that I believe that this is something ancient that has been here forever, and we lost the connection. And I think
Mm.
the connection is starting to come back into being.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of people who are feeling the same way, who are going through a shift in their life and are coming to like the spiritual side of their life. So I've just been trying to help people get to that.
Yeah. I've heard you say many times, and you've also said it to me in our conversations. What you think or what you're saying is that what we're seeing is not aliens.
Right.
It's something we're connected to.
Yeah.
And Justin, what you're really talking about is presence.
Yes.
When you are present with yourself, you become present with everyone around you and everything and the planet and the earth. And when you are in that frequency, because I literally think presence is a frequency,
Hmm.
you are a magnet to what I call the inevitability of your life.
Yes.
You no longer have to manifest
Hmm.
because everything that is meant for you shows up. And I include that with what we're seeing in the sky.
Yeah. And I've
And that,
also,
go
yeah,
ahead.
I've also like had the shift in those last 7 or months or so too that I believe that we are creating our own reality. So
Hmm.
whatever you have internally is going to be reflected back to you out
Yes.
like externally.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, so so there's more going on here for you
Hmm.
than just what you're experiencing in the sky.
Yes.
And if it's okay, I want to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
You've you've talked about your son
Hmm.
who's autistic,
Yeah.
and I've heard you talk about a documentary that's coming out called the Telepathy Tapes.
Yes.
I am familiar with this documentary. I've heard about this documentary since it started. I used to work with autism,
Mm-hmm.
with people on the spectrum. I used to also work with the families. A group that I worked with in New York City, they were coming from the perspective that we have to stop looking at the particular person that is autistic, and we need to work with the entire family because the entire family is doing what they think they're supposed to be doing because of autism.
Yeah.
So in one hand, the entire family has autism, not just the individual. And that's a very different way of looking at it, very different perspective, because then what is also happening, and this is talking about presence, this aligns very much with what we're talking about. You're becoming aware of your behavior.
Yes.
You're becoming aware of how you're contributing to the environment of what's going on. And you're taking a step back from what you're hearing medically, which that has a purpose,
Hmm.
but you're going in another level and you're
Yes.
becoming present to yourself, to the child that has autism. You're becoming present to your entire family. And it's becoming a way of being, which is
Hmm.
what we're really talking about here.
Yes.
This is in essence a spiritual awakening. You want to talk
Yep.
about that a little bit? And then I'll
Yeah.
share some personal things in a moment. You know, in my experience when I was working with autism. But if you feel free, please share.
Yeah.
Because this is what's really happening for you on a larger scale, not
Yeah.
just in the sky.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so when the telepathy tapes came out, um, I saw a TikTok video talking about it, and I was
Okay.
like, okay, this is really interesting. And so I went and listened to it. And for anybody who hasn't listened to the Telepathy Tapes podcast, I highly recommend you
Yeah.
go listen to it because they do come at it at a very scientific way. And if you're skeptical, like they try to break down why people would be skeptical, and they just go through a bunch of different ways to get past that barrier. Um, but when I listen to the telepathy tapes and just hearing what these families are going through, um, I I felt their struggle really like,
Mhm.
and then learning about how, now I understand that what we put out is what we're receiving. So
Yes.
families that are getting that autism diagnosis, it rocks your world.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everything gets thrown upside down. We had to start taking my son to therapies every single day. I was working and I was actually going to school at that time as well. So I was a full-time student. I was working full-time
Yeah.
and taking my son to ABA
It's a lot.
therapy. And
It's a lot.
yeah,
It is not easy.
yeah. And what these families are realizing is, well, a lot of them are told that one, that their child is not in there, that they're not
Yes.
intelligent, and they're basically just teaching these kids like toddler curriculum all the way through high school. They're not doing anything to help them grow.
And that was my
And
frustration when I was in the field because I was like, this is not when I'm working with your child 101, that is not what I'm experiencing at all with your child. And
yeah,
we are not listening. And the
yeah,
telepathy tapes are bringing light to that. So
yes.
continue.
But if you be so a lot of people aren't aware of how their feelings and emotions are being put out into the environment.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you're going through this very stressful time, you're frustrated, you're angry, you're upset, you're devastated, and what you're not realizing is your child is picking up on all these emotions. So a lot of the behaviors are probably being amplified by your emotions. Like they're just picking up on what you're experiencing, and they're also being just put into that stressful being like state of being. Um, but yeah, listening to the telepathy tapes and realizing that one, these kids are geniuses. They're savants. They can speak multiple languages. They
Yes.
know music. They can do
Yes.
all these incredible things. And on top of that, they can also communicate telepathically with their
Yes.
family and others too. Yeah, and they're also getting into like astral projection. They go
Hmm.
to a place called the Hill where they're all meeting up and communicating. A
Yep.
lot of them describe that they're being taught by these teachers and angels and connecting with these divine beings. They get into talking about mediumship and talking to deceased loved ones. And to me, it was so uplifting and it made me so much less afraid hearing these people's stories and realizing that these kids are connected to something beautiful, and it
Yes.
really seems like it's their mission. They're incarnated here right now to go through these difficult times to teach mankind that we are more than our physical bodies and we are so much more than we've been told. And honestly, I think human potential is so much more than what I thought a few years ago. I do
Oh
think
yeah.
that we can communicate te telepathically. Last year, they had the first ever Psy Games, which was a psychic tournament,
Okay.
and people showing their like abilities. And I think, well, actually, so one of the children from the telepathy tapes and her mother was there doing live demonstrations and showing people that these abilities are real. And I think they're going to help guide mankind into realizing that we've been living life all wrong and
Yes.
that there's so much more than we've been told, and it's so much more beautiful than we've been told to.
Yeah. There's a book, a self-help book I read years ago, and I've said this on a recent episode I recorded. I don't remember the title, don't remember the author, and it's driving me crazy. But the one thing I took away from that was we are as powerful as we allow ourselves to be.
Yes.
And if you're familiar with Marianne Williamson, she says our biggest fear is how knowing how powerful we truly are.
Mm.
And I have found that to be so true in my life.
Yes, that makes
And
a lot of
so
sense.
I don't want to be afraid of that anymore.
Yeah.
So this telepathy thing,
Hmm.
on a deeper level, on a spiritual level, I would call it resonance
Yes. Oh, hmm.
because it's not happening in the mind. Telepathy indicates it's happening here,
Hmm.
but there's a truer connection that's happening in our bodies and in our soul.
Yes. Very heart-centered.
So when I was working with autism in my 20s, I'm going to be at the time of this recording, I'm going to be 50 in a few days.
Oh, wow.
So it's hard to believe.
Yeah. Happy early birthday.
Thank you. In my mid 20s is when I really started working with them, and I had recently, prior to that, or around that time, getting the time frame mixed up, but I thought I was feeling them.
Mm. Hmm.
It wasn't until a couple years later that I realized that I had the ability for telepathy, as we all do. I was I was because what was frustrating my coworkers is I was having a separate conversation. They could see I was having a non-verbal separate conversation with them from the rest of the group.
Mm.
And when we were off by ourselves, there was something beautiful taking place, and I was allowing them to just be, which was frustrating my coworkers, especially my superiors, because no, we have a curriculum, we have this we have to do, and that we have to
Yeah.
do, and we got to put them in a mold and put them in a box. But every time we did that, they are having what the term was at the time were outbursts.
Yeah.
We were not meeting, the curriculum was not meeting them where they were.
Yeah.
But Justin, this is what we do to each other. We don't meet each other where we really truly are. We don't
Yeah.
listen, which is why we're having the problems we're having in the world that we're having that aren't they're the same problems we've been having since the dawn of since the dawn of humanity. But
Yeah.
that's a whole other conversation. So when I realized that someone told me, well, you're telepathic, Chad, that's why you're having the results you're having.
Mm.
And then when I was in New York City 10 years ago, and I started working with the families, the residents really became grounded.
Mm.
But I was still afraid to tell the parents.
Yeah.
Ask them, why are you having results that I'm not having? Or why, why is your group having results that we're not having at home? We were still not ready to say, well, it's telepathy.
Yeah.
And the
That's a big
telepathy,
belief.
It's a
to
big,
overcome. Yeah.
it is a big shift because you're
Yeah.
willing, again, we're talking about presence.
Hmm.
You're willing to listen. I call it the tone beneath the breath or the frequency beneath what's being said. When we truly meet each other there, we're truly meeting each other.
Yes.
What has your son taught you? Or was he
Some
teaching you? That's
he's taught
probably a
me
loaded question.
yeah, he's taught me a lot. I would say probably the number two, like the top two things he's taught me is one is patience, which
Mm,
is something I am learning every single day. Patience is something that you just always have to be practicing. It's so hard to just accept where you're at, be okay with the moment, and just be.
yes.
Um, Another thing taught me was just unconditional love. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
love him no matter what we had to go through, no matter what challenging times, just the amount of love that I had for him is never going to change. And
Yes.
yeah, it just and I guess to bring that into like the orb phenomenon, the
Mm,
telepathy, the psychic abilities, all of it, you listen to all these different people who are experiencing this, it really comes into opening your heart and
yes.
really aligning with your heart.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. What is your son verbal or nonverbal?
He's verbal now.
He's verbal. Oh, he's
He
verbal
started,
now. Okay.
yeah, he started speaking when he was about 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not surprised because people that I know that are still in the field, um, a lot of these kids, they end up talking who
Hmm.
start out nonverbal,
Yeah.
but then they also choose not to talk anymore because they are more comfortable with just being present.
Yes.
We are forcing, and not just in autism, but we are forcing each other to speak,
Hmm.
to use words when there is an entirely other language that we have forgotten about.
Yes. And it's a much more complete language too. Like
Yes.
communicating through words, you can misinterpret and not get your point across properly versus telepathy, you can send the entire emotion, everything with it. Like if you say the word Christmas, everyone has a certain thought about what Christmas is, but if you can send them that telepathically, it would be the entire holiday celebration as it is.
So what connection are you seeing with ancient civilizations with stuff going on in the sky and I would probably even say even with your son?
Yeah. So one of the things, like to bring it back to my archaeology
Yeah.
class and learning
Yeah.
about the ancient shamans, was this was normal back then.
Yes.
Like,
Oh yeah.
not only was it normal, they were like either the top person of their society or the
Mhm.
number, like they were one of the top people in society. They would build a special temple just for them to go
Yes.
connect with the ancestors.
Yes.
And yeah, it just you look at all these different cultures around the world and you realize all of them were connecting with something higher up above. They all talk about star people or they're depicting like different kinds of crafts or communications from like these different kind of entities and everything like that. And yeah, I think like I said, I think it's something ancient and I just think that it's been here the whole time and I don't know what caused the separation. I don't know if it happened. It could have happened, like 10,000 years ago. You have all these different religions and cultures around the world talk about the Great Flood. You have Noah's Ark. You have, different variations of the same story. So I don't know if that's when the connection was like severed or what, but it seems like they're waiting for humanity to all get back to that point of being in like all working together towards a common goal, all working from the heart, and really, like you're saying, seeing people where they are and not trying to make people fit into the box that you're creating in your mind. You have to accept people where they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we don't like when it's being done to us,
Yeah.
but yet we still do it to each other.
Hmm.
But we have to understand why we're doing it
Yeah.
in order for it to change. I am throwing out the phrase spiritual awakening because I don't think it's a spiritual awakening. I think it's a remembering.
Yes.
And that is what you're talking about too. I'm inviting people to remember who and what they are and where they come from.
Yes. And you are so much more powerful than you've been led to believe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we are relying on outside groups,
Hmm.
the political system, the religious organ system, the our parents, to
Yeah.
tell us who and what we are. And that's the big mistake. That has a place.
Hmm.
But what we've done is we've made that our identity. And we
Yes.
have and we're holding on to it and we're fighting for it and we're arguing with each other about who's right and who's wrong.
Yep.
And that's the mistake. But when we are willing to remember, it takes on a whole new life, takes on a whole new way of living.
Yes.
And we can remember what I call the story. It's the story's not really that important. Again, it's going within, but we remember the past.
Hmm.
We remember the present. We remember why we're here. But we also remember that we're made of love. We're made from love, and we are love. And
Yeah.
love is a state of being, and it's something that naturally happens.
Yes. I
Is that
actually
what you're
had,
finding?
yeah, I actually
That's what your
had
son is probably teaching you.
I did a meditation, I think like last year, and one of like the big insights I got from that was that we are all the physical manifestation of love.
Mm.
Um,
Yes.
and yes, and we are, it's really hard to, get to that point of remembering with the way society is right now. You're taught, okay, this is like your parents' beliefs are going to be passed down to you, societal beliefs are going to be passed on to you. And what meditation does is you go within and you just release all of those things that have been holding you back, and you come back into remembering of really just that essence of what makes you you. And it's not all the different things, it's not your job, it's not even your name. It's there's something so much deeper that is so pure.
Yes.
And I think like the words that we have for it are unconditional love, but it really is just something that you can't describe. It's the
Yes.
ineffable.
Yeah. It, it's the place we're all connected.
Yes.
And I call it the breath.
Yeah.
And I think we also need to redefine what life is.
Hmm.
Just because I call everything presences, just because a presence doesn't breathe and procreate, doesn't mean it doesn't have life.
Hmm.
What we are also talking about, and what also the telepathy tapes are showing us, is that there is a world that is unseen.
Yes.
And when we choose to remember it, we can see it. And in that unseen world, there are also presences that are living and breathing, maybe not the way humanity lives and breathes, but they are presences.
Hmm.
And that is the frequency that we are inviting, that you and I and others are inviting humanity to remember
Yes.
and to listen. But I'm also challenging people to see is that we're not ICE, we're not protesters, we're not Christians, we're not Jewish, we are human beings.
Yes.
We are human beings that are condemning each other, killing each other. But beyond that, we are presences,
Mm,
not just in this world, but also in the unseen world. We are all presences and we are hurting each other.
yeah.
Why? It's
Yeah.
because of the stories we're telling each other. A dear friend of mine. She's a writer, and I'd like to quote her right now. So I think it's
Okay.
very fitting. Remember, we differ, you and me, simply by what we choose to see.
Mm,
When we let go of the stories, we realize that we're not different at all.
yeah. 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 It's so sad too to see like the state the world's in right now too with all the fighting and violence too, because really it is all stemming from belief systems that have been like put into you throughout your life. And
Yeah.
I mean, really,
And it's not that they're
like,
wrong, but we need to
yeah,
understand why we're doing it and why we're
yeah,
believing it.
they're all coming from a place of love. Like the people who are in the military are fighting because they're trying to protect their loved ones, and so
Yes.
are the people in the other country. It's the same thing. And
But we create a story to make each other evil.
yeah, we're all fighting for someone's belief system.
Yeah.
We might not even be fighting for our own belief set, which is
Yeah.
the really sad thing. But yeah.
Can you talk about your logo? I'm not sure I'm going to be able to post your logo, but your logo is on your hat.
Oh yeah.
And can you
S-
can you pick it apart for us? And
Yeah. So this is my logo. It is a UFO in the middle of a Merkaba,
okay,
which is actually when you look up the definition of a Merkaba, is it's a light vehicle
okay.
used to like transcend different dimensions, basically. But
People may
it,
also know the word is Merkaba. It just
yes,
depends
yeah,
on, yeah.
yeah. But it also represents like being in spiritual balance as well.
Yes.
And
Yep.
yeah, I just thought
That's
it was,
perfect.
yeah, it was perfect. And it just, like, I don't know, it just resonated so well with everything that I've gone through with experiencing the phenomenon, especially like starting with the nuts and bolts craft and then coming to the spiritual.
It's beautiful. That's beautiful. Justin, what would you say to those that are still waiting for signs in the sky?
So, first thing I would say is you don't need to wait for
Mm,
anything. You can go within and find the answers
yes.
that you're seeking. I know it can be challenging when people start meditating, like trying to figure out how to get the noise to stop, really. But some helpful tips that I found where if you just focus on a single thing, say like a single number, so you could repeat like 10, 10,
Mm,
10, and you can get to the point where eventually after a few minutes where you're just really just in that presence and you're just connecting with what makes you you, and you're
yeah,
going back to that very essence of really that unconditional love that is within the body that you're inhabiting at this point.
beautiful. Beautiful said. Before I ask you your final question, where can people, if people are interested, where can they find the telepathy tapes? Do you know?
So the telepathy tapes should be available on all major podcast
Okay.
services, so Spotify,
Okay.
Apple, Amazon, all that. And I believe this year, either in the spring or summer, they're going to be releasing the telepathy tapes documentary, which I
Okay.
think is going to be
Yes.
massive, and it's
Yes.
going to help people become more aware of what's going on. And it's one thing hearing somebody describe something, but being able to see with your eyes that, okay,
Hmm.
these are the like the steps that they're taking because they're doing everything possible to do this in the most scientific way. They're trying to do double blind experiments. They really want no, like, no, I don't, nothing to like, I don't even know how to like what to say. to mess up these results, really. Like they want it to be the most
Yes.
scientific and like highly respected study that they can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
we those of us who are familiar with the autism world, we have been waiting for years for this documentary to come out. It has been in development for a long time,
Yeah.
and it's been trying they've been trying to find the platform and the support for them to be released because there are people that don't want these tapes getting out,
Yes.
especially the documentary. So,
That
I mean,
was,
the tapes are
yeah.
out, but
Yeah.
the documentary is the next step. So,
That was one of the things like in the telepathy tapes, they talked about how um how these nonverbals communicate is using a letter board, which is just a board with
hmm
letters on it, and
yes,
they
yep,
point to the letters. Well, the skeptics are saying that's not a real form of communication.
yep,
And the telepathy tapes also points out that um, back like 100 years ago, they didn't even want to accept sign language as a form of communication.
yeah,
Like
yes, yep, yep,
there's been this like suppression of trying to keep these minorities
yeah,
groups like suppressed from sharing whatever they have to share with the world. And I'm not sure why, but yeah, it's just so interesting that there are organizations out there that are trying to say that no, you can't
yeah,
communicate this way. Like it
and it's
makes no
wrong.
sense. Yeah.
And in my mind, this is another form of condemning.
Yes.
And when we condemn each other, we are literally telling each other that you do not have the right to breathe. You don't have a right to exist.
Yeah.
And for some people, that is the only way they can communicate is by pointing at a letterboard.
Yeah.
I had a friend in high school. She didn't speak, and the way she got around was a wheelchair. And the only way she could communicate with us was on her letterboard. And that was before it was popular.
Hmm.
But why are we doing this to each other?
Yeah.
Why are we telling each other you don't have a right to exist because I don't agree with the way you exist?
Yeah.
And that takes on a whole new perspective when you think about it like that.
Mhm.
And it's not what Yeshua taught.
No.
It's not what our great teachers taught, but yet we keep doing the opposite.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it is amazing that people are trying to define what life is, trying to define what is acceptable way of communicating.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
It
and
makes no
it
sense.
still blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's like this is 2026. You think we'd be treating each other differently.
Yeah.
Justin, I so honored that you've joined us here in this conversation. You know, a lot of people think, you know, I've had several Skywatchers on the podcast and they go, it doesn't relate, but it does relate. And
Yes.
you've heard me say that when I got on TikTok last year, my first followers were people from the Skywatcher community because they were resonating with something that I'm saying. And you have been one of my recent followers, and I am honored that you are, and I am following you, and together we can help humanity remember. But it's
Yes.
also an invitation. We're not forcing them to.
Mhm. Yep. And that's one thing that I learned going through what I'm going through too is you can't force someone to go to the
Yeah.
level you want them to be at. You have to
Yes.
let people come to that understanding on their own. So the
Yeah.
more you try to force them to do something, the more they're just going to resist it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justin, where in your life right now? Where are you in your life right now? Ah, I'm sorry. It's life. We make mistakes. It's why I don't edit the show. But with where you are in life
Mhm.
right now, with where you are in life right now, what are you learning?
I'm learning a lot. I'm learning that first that it's really important to take back your own inner power. And for so long through my life, I've always been a people pleaser. I've always done everything I could to make sure everyone else is comfortable. And I've realized that I've been giving out so much of my energy, and now I'm bringing that energy back to me, and I'm trying to do it in a better way. I still want to give back. I still want to help people, but I want to do it in a way that's also bringing me up along with it. Um, and it's been quite the evolution, but I feel so much more fulfilled in my life. And I really just want to help people any way I can realize that you are so much more than you've been
Yeah.
led to believe, and you are capable of so much. Don't let anyone try to limit that beautiful light that's within you.
Hmm. That's right.
No.
That's right. Wonderful. Wonderful, Justin. Thank you. You know, at the end of all my shows, I like to end with the breath,
Mm.
with the audience. Would you join us
Yes.
in the breath? And I'll say some things to bring us back. So, and as we breathe together, we all remember that we are all remembered. We are all loved, and we all belong. And as we open our eyes, we bring the breath and we bring the stillness into every moment of our lives. Justin, it's been an honor.
Thank you, Chad, for having me on. It's been an honor to speak with you as well.
Perhaps we'll have you back on the show in the future. I think it would be really cool. But anyway, until the next time, this has been a Pneuma conversation. Thank you for sharing in the breath. Together, we've remembered a little more of what it means to be human. Until next time, breathe.